Let's light this candle. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back once again to the General Geekery Podcast, the podcast where we love to geek out about all that we love to geek out about, with no remorse, no regrets, and with all the enthusiasm in the world.
Indeed.
Yes. As always, this is Donald Kaczynski, your resident coffee ninja by day, your actor, gamer, streamer by night. And with me, as always, with the shadow specter of a skull named Yorick in the background as a result of the Build-A-Bard series from Voices Found Repertory, the autistic maestro herself, Hannah Kubiak.
Hello.
Just making sure that Yorick's not bullying you.
Nope, not at all.
All right. Good. Stop. Just...
Nope.
Stop. Yorick? Okay. So, we got a fun little topic today.
Yes.
That honestly just was born out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
I originally pitched this topic out of the blue, and we were all like, let's do this. Today, we are talking about the fascination of food and cooking shows.
Oh, yes.
Now, I mean, it's kind of weird. This has always fascinated me ever since I was a kid. Why? Ever since I was a little kid, I've always been surrounded by a lot of people when they're watching TV. Usually my mother, and sometimes my godparents and everything like that. People have a fascination to watch cooking shows.
Mm-hmm.
Or any shows involving food. And for some reason, I never got it as a kid, but growing up and where I am right now, I've kind of fallen into that area as well, where I'm like, there's nothing I really want to watch right now. I'll just watch like cooking videos or something like that. Just get my mind off things. So I'll basically turn on like an episode of like Iron Chef, Hell's Kitchen, something like that. Maybe something from Food Network or Travel Channel, like Anthony Bourdain's No Reservations. May he rest in peace.
Oh.
They're all just fun. I didn't understand it as a kid, but now that I'm grown up and now that I've technically had experience in the restaurant industry and can appreciate it a little more, I'm just like, this is actually really cool.
I don't, I'll tell you a little bit about my experience with cooking shows. We used to basically, over the summers when I would go and visit my dad, my brother and sister and we would spend entire days watching these marathons of different cooking shows. Like, I don't even remember what it was called. Oh my gosh. I have no idea. I don't remember. I want to say it was Chopped, but it wasn't. It was like, I think it was Top Chef. Is that right? Is that one, or is that like a cooking supply chain?
No,
Top Chef.
No, Top Chef was a cooking show. Top Chef.
Oh, okay.
Top Chef falls into the category of like cooking competitions.
Right. Yeah, we would watch lots of cooking competitions. You know, my brother actually, he is a professional chef now.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
Yeah, he is, like, his signature dish is some sort of seafood at this restaurant in Santa Barbara.
Ooh. That's so cool. Is there like a favorite kind of like dish that he likes to make and everything like that?
It's like, yeah, the tuna kind of. Like, I follow him on Instagram, and he's always like taking pictures of food that he made at work.
Well, cooks and chefs like to take pride in what they do, which honestly they should.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, since I have no sense of smell or anything, I don't really appreciate food as much as I should. Like, I love food. I love I love to like I.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good motivator for me. I'm like, oh yes, if I go to this, like half the time I go to parties not because I wish to socialize, because I know that there's going to be food there. um, oh, and which is really weird. It's weird how much I love food, even though my lack of a sense of smell basically prevents me from appreciating many of the subtleties of the food. Like when we were kids, my brother would cook stuff all the time because he always had this enthusiasm for food and stuff. But my mom and my sister and me, we didn't have a sense of smell, so it was totally lost on us, a lot of it. Like he would basically like present the food to us like it was some sort of, like you're some sort of panel of judges, and be like, and I've put just a hint of cumin, and you'll notice that the chicken is laced with paprika or something like that. I don't know. And we would just be eating it, and we're like, it tastes like chicken to me. Good job.
Oof.
And so I don't know how he survived, because he's adopted, so he didn't have the genetic lack of sense of smell. He was the only person in our family growing up who didn't have anosmia.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he could taste things better than we could, which now that I think about it, when we would cook things, we basically just like put some salt and pepper in it because that's what we could taste, And I'm like, oh my gosh, like for somebody with a more distinguished palate, it must have been torture because everything is just bland. And it's like, because my mom basically, she's like, I don't really use spices when I cook because people could just add whatever they want into them. So we'd have something that was kind of bland-ish. We'd have some salt and some pepper in it, but we'd always have the salt and pepper on the table. And if you wanted some more, you would put it on there. But not very heavily seasoned food growing up.
Gotcha. Like, there's nothing wrong with garnishing your food with salt and pepper like that. The only problem I have with salt and pepper is if you do it like my dad does, and he just like over salt and over peppers everything after putting the food on his plate. Yeah. I'm just like, why?
Yeah, you don't wanna overdo it initially. Like, apparently at job interviews where they go out to eat, if you salt your food before you taste it, they might not hire you because you're clearly an impulsive person who doesn't think things through.
Yeah.
I just opened up my brother's Instagram. Here's an example of something that he made, I assume.
Okay.
Hamachi crudo.
Ooh.
Which is like hibiscus ponzu, which is a kind of fish. It looks like it's raw. Avocado, jalapeno, crispy rice pears.
Ooh.
I don't know. I feel like we should like plug this this page just because people might want to look at food. Oh, here's another one. Seafood. Stone fruit, cured California king salmon, roasted shishito aioli, nectarine, puffed wild rice, salmon roe shisho. Like, I would eat this, but I'm not a foodie by any, like, I often feel like wonderful food is wasted on me because I just wolf it down and I'm like, I don't know what that was, but that was amazing. Japanese hamachi crudo, yeah. Looks like he's working in raw seafood right now.
Interesting.
But yeah, if you want to take a look at my brother's food, at SN Simonov.
Nice. I've never really been the biggest fan of seafood growing up myself. Mm-hmm. Now that I'm older and I've my palate is actually grown and I'm trying new stuff, like I'm a little more accepting of seafood and everything like that, but I did not have the best time with seafood growing up. Mainly,
I grew up in California, so I love sushi.
Yeah, that's fair. I only had sushi for like the first time like a year and a half ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, go. I'll gladly take your hate, everybody. I will gladly take your hate. And I enjoyed it. It's not really something that I would always go out of my way to do, but it's something nice to have every once in a while.
Mm.
But, like, I think it was mainly, like, when I started working as a barista that, like, I started getting more of an appreciation for food. Because, well, you guys have heard me constantly say this on the podcast, all the little tidbits about where I work, my job, how I have to taste all these different coffees and discern different notes from the coffee itself.
Uh-huh.
It was that kind of environment that kind of encouraged me to, like, venture out of, like, my comfort zone of foods and everything like that. And I've tried so much new stuff since then. I'm kind of surprised I haven't done this before, and it took this job of all things to encourage me to try new stuff.
Right, yeah. Oh yeah, and on this podcast even, like, you've made special coffee for us to drink when I come, like, to the studio. And I just drink it and I'm like, tastes like coffee. Like my mom really loves really strong coffee where she can taste kind of the what is it? It's not the bitterness. It's like the fruitiness, like a fruity note to it.
Oh yeah, like the fruity acidicness that can underlie coffee. Yeah.
Yeah. She loves this coffee from this place called like Intelligentsia coffee. She says is like really good because she can actually tell that it's different from other coffee. Or there's like a coffee that they make. It's I don't know if you've ever been to Standard Market.
I don't believe I have.
All right, it might be an Illinois thing. It's right by my house, and my mom's always saying, "Yeah, I buy the bagged coffee that they sell, and I try to recreate it, but it never tastes as good as when someone at Standard Market makes it for me." It's kind of like a Whole Foods sort of place.
Right. Well, there might be several different factors about that, but I won't go too far into details because we went
down a bit of a rabbit hole here talking about my family's disability.
No, it's okay because it's fascinating.
Oh man, the stupid questions I get from people.
Well,
like, can you taste? Can you breathe?
Well,
like, I stand before you, living and breathing.
Yeah, it's true. It's just that your palate is different to most other people's. Well, everyone's palate is different. Like that's just a way of life. Where sometimes people always ask, why won't you eat this? Why won't you eat that? It's just their palates are different. People have developed their palates differently over time. It just happens, and it's sometimes affected by the environments that they're in and how their body reacts to certain stuff, but it's how it is. And
oh, dude, I'll eat pretty much anything. I'm very easy to feed.
Nom. All of the nom.
Nom, nom, nom.
Indeed. But, yeah, ever since I started doing all that and I started expanding my horizons about all these different with foods, I started watching more cooking shows and cooking videos online. Some of my favorite things is lately that I've been ever since like quarantine started with like cooking videos and everything like that. I recently followed a chef from California. He goes by Chef PK on YouTube. He takes all these different food items that he finds in Japanese anime and video games and makes them in real life.
What?
Yeah. So, this is actually going to be a little bit of a funny one, but,
did he make Mabu tofu?
I think he has made Mabu tofu, at one point.
Oh, yeah.
I think there was one dish he made, it was from he's made many dishes from this anime. Hannah, have you ever heard of the show Food Wars?
Yes. Is that the one where if it tastes really good and someone tastes it, their clothes fall off?
Yep, food porn. Food porn, the anime. That's basically what the show is.
Yeah. I watched a couple episodes with some some folks one time. We were waiting for everybody to show up for D&D one time, and someone was like, let's just watch Food Wars while we're waiting. And I'm like, what is this? Some sort of cooking competition? They're like, no, it's an anime. And I was like looking at it, I was like, oh my gosh, like these people do not know the anatomy of how a boob goes onto your body. Like, I'm just like, what the hell? That's impossible.
Fan service.
They don't defy gravity like that. And I was like, guys, this is wrong. And they're like, I'm like the only woman there. And they're like, oh, but it's anime. I'm like, so what? There's unrealistic expectations being set in place here.
That
don't defy gravity.
That's anime in a nutshell. But you want to know the crazy thing about that show is all of the dishes that they present in that show can actually be made and actually hold truth to like all of the stuff that they're talking about.
Ooh, okay.
Because
they actually make your clothes fly off?
No, not that part. Not that part. I'm just
joshing with you.
I know, not that part. Although I still am waiting for the day where that someday food technology will advance in a way where maybe something like that will happen. Because one, that's an epic superpower that food can have if possible. Mm-hmm. And two, we need to put some FCC regulations on that if that actually does happen when it comes to cooking shows.
Yep.
But
following may contain nudity. It depends on how well these people cook.
But anyway, in terms of the mapo tofu, one of the dishes that they made like in one of the later seasons was mapo tofu mixed with curry noodles.
Ooh, okay.
And how it was made, there was a meatball on top of the mapo tofu that where you opened it, there was curry infused in the meatball that melted into the mapo tofu.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, this can't be real. You're joshing me. And then an actual chef made it in real life, and I saw the video, and I'm like,
wow. Like, well.
One of my favorite ones that I saw that I'm really hoping to make one day is a Japanese karage. It's a Japanese style of fried chicken.
Fried chicken.
So I love fried chicken too. So basically, karage is chopped up pieces of fried chicken, generally chicken thigh meat because of the plumpness and juiciness of the thigh meat compared to other parts of the chicken. It's marinated in a like a sweet and sour kind of marinade. Usually involving like soy sauce or oyster sauce or something. There's several different marinades on how they do it. Then it's then you deep fry it or double fry it and then eat it with like chopsticks or something like that. How they did it in the show, they took a couple pieces of the karage and wrapped it in a crepe wrap, like a homemade herb crepe wrap. Ooh. And then garnished it with like a little lettuce or everything like that. I'm looking at it and I'm like, I'm so hungry for fried chicken.
A crepe wrap. So that's kind of like blini or something? Like in Russia? No. There's a story about in my family, like it's chicken crepes. It's like chicken with crepe around it. It's not Russian though. I was thinking it was Russian because my dad made it like really soon after we adopted my brother.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to make like chicken crepes. And my brother looked at these, and he's used to blini, which is like a pancake in Russia. But there was chicken inside of it, and this really offended him. So he took his plate and like dumped it on the floor.
Oh, wow.
because he had no English yet, so he didn't know how to express his displeasure with this blini that my dad had made.
Oh, man. Your brother had some like big food standards like since the beginning. Dang.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like that's kind of like how fascination with food can get sometimes. I mean, we've seen so many different explosive personalities in the industry like flip their lid because of their passion for food. I mean, let's talk about the obvious choice here. Gordon Ramsay. Chef Gordon Ramsay. You know him, you'll love him, you sometimes hate him. You know him for all of his explosive outbursts on his different TV shows like Hell's Kitchen and Kitchen Nightmares, but my God, the guy is a talented chef. I mean, like, if you... I think, like, I've been following his work, like, ever since I was a kid, and then I looked into his backstory a little bit. Like, looking at his upbringing, like, where he started off with, like, his backstory of his family, how he had to struggle and strive in, like, all these different French restaurants, being a British cook in all these different French restaurants. Like, he said it himself. He had to bust his ass.
Oh my gosh.
Because he was being trained by some of the top culinaries in the world.
Wow.
He actually said this in like recent interviews. Because to prepare for some of this, I was watching different interviews from like different food personalities, and Ramsay actually said this when he appeared on an episode of Hot Ones on YouTube.
Okay.
He said,
"Is that the game show with the chicken wings?"
Yes, it's a sit down interview show where they ask questions while eating hot sauce chicken wings, and it gets hotter, and it gets hotter and hotter and hotter with each passing question. And
wow.
And funnily enough, or not surprising enough, the Gordon Ramsay episode is probably like one of the most viewed.
Yeah.
But
probably, yeah.
But I remember him because the host was asking Ramsay these questions on how he perceived each of the people who trained him, and on one of them he said, basically, when I was working at this man's kitchen, we worked 6.5 days every day, and we always got a half day off. If you took that half day off, you were screwed. So you had to show the initiative to learn. So you had to be in there on that half day off with no pay and show commitment.
Wow.
And
it's just expected of you?
Sometimes, yeah. Like for people in like the top culinaries, apparently, that really want to strive for like the fine gourmet style and like all that top and everything like that, because France is like, for a lot of people, France is like gourmet central.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to French cooking, like that's always seen as like the gourmet central in like so many different medias. I mean, heck, the movie Ratatouille is based in France. A Pixar movie about restaurants and cooking is based in France. So it's almost like subconsciously ingrained into us. But for the most part, it's actually kind of true, because like a lot of like the big name chefs are French.
Yeah. They are like, the stereotype of a French person is like very very hoity-toity about their food.
They are a big meat. They are big into meat. They love their meat. But yeah, like it's always amazing just like hearing those just hearing the backstories of like different chefs and everything like that and how they grew up.
Yeah.
'Cause and actually one of my favorite shows recently that I came across in the past year is actually a Netflix documentary series called Chef's Table.
Okay.
So with this series, each episode will focus on a different chef. and the restaurant that they work at and everything like that. And it's not set up like how normal cooking shows are, or travel cooking shows or food shows where they just go visit and they try the food and everything like that, and they have a little bit of like a passive conversation, and then they eat the food.
Yeah.
Chef's Table takes a little bit more of like a backstory and everything like that into understanding like the chef's backstory from like how they began, how they trained, and like their struggles and everything like that. They're putting more emphasis on the person behind the plate. Which
I like that.
I do too, because honestly, like for a lot of people, for me, like when it comes to food, chefs nearly don't get enough credit than they usually do.
Or that they should.
That they should, yes. As for me, as someone who has worked a lot of late nights, everything like that, and I've had to end up eating out a lot, and I've gone to so many different styles of restaurants where I just sit down and everything like that and do all that. Thank you.
Speaking of, is that your coffee service?
Yep. On the nose coffee service. I have to thank them later. Thank you, familia. But all right, there we go. But yeah, that's I always make sure, like every single time, like I leave a restaurant or everything like that, like after I've sat down and have a meal, like not only do I tip, because like always tip your servers. Always tip your servers, no matter what.
Always.
Like I always say my compliments to the chef or the cooks in the back every single time. Because everyone in the back deserves recognition.
Yep.
Everyone.
That should be our new phrase at the end. Tip your chefs always.
It always bothers me that nobody tips.
When people don't tip, bothers me too.
Oh, I have serious problems with that. Serious problems with that.
Yep.
As someone who works in that industry and actually relies on tips.
Yeah.
But okay, I'm straying too far away from that. Hannah, is there any kind of like cooking style show you prefer? Do you prefer more of like a laid back kind of atmosphere, or something like Top Chef or Iron Chef where it's more competition based?
Goodness. Hold on. Let me look this up, because I really enjoyed this cooking show, but I don't remember what it was called.
Sure, take your time.
I enjoyed Jamie Oliver's Food Revolution.
Oh!
Where he went to, was it Huntington?
Okay.
He opened I think the first episode or something was, let me click on it, hold on. Food Revolution on ABC. Because it was about sort of improving not only food that people eat, but like their way of life as well, and like their health and everything. Like it says Jamie Oliver's Food Revolution. Chef Jamie Oliver tries to change how Americans eat. And Huntington, West Virginia is like the fattest state or something, like the most unhealthy state, and he opens the most unhealthy city either in the United States or something. Like their percentage of like obesity and stuff is really high, and it's about basically he opens a restaurant in Huntington that serves healthy food, and it teaches people how to, eat well and improve their way of life. Season 1, episode 1. Jamie heads to Huntington to make lunches, eat healthier. He gets to cook for a high school. Eh,
That high school better have enjoyed that meal.
yeah.
If I was having a well-renowned chef cook for me for my school lunch, I'd be
Mhm.
like, yes, I will take seconds, please.
Yeah. He, like, puts together a cooking competition for students. Sort of like gives talks about the effects of unhealthy food. Um, uh,
Which,
he bets he can teach 1,000 people to cook in a week
well,
in
well,
one of these episodes.
well, I mean, sure, you can teach. Like, sure, you can try to teach 1,000 people to cook. The real question is, will they be able to retain that knowledge, though?
Yeah.
Because in reference to the high school thing, I actually wanted to bring this up. I honestly think there should be, like, a curriculum set in school where you teach kids, like, the fundamentals of cooking.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. When I worked in Scotland, that's in the school I worked at, they had a home ec class. They would learn how to cook things.
Why is home ec taken out of the curriculum in U.S. schools?
I don't know, man.
What?
I wish that I had been taught how to do that, or how to change a tire, or how to organize your finances, or whatever.
We're all right. We need to restructure this entire education system,
Yep, let's do it.
starting with cooking, because I've only started learning more about cooking within like the past 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Teach about alien abductions in history class.
I'd be about that. I'd be about that.
I'm just trying to think of like the weirdest thing that it really. There's a lot more important stuff that gets neglected in history class that should be taught, definitely. But.
Yeah. Honestly, Hannah, we would be better substitute teachers than most.
Yep. I'd come in and be like, all right, kids, here's how you detect a sociopath. It's like that scene from that scene from Mindhunter where that he comes in to talk to some kids and they say, well, don't use the word disordered, like use the word like disturbed. And he's like, all right, one way, kids, to know that your friend might be disturbed is if he hurts animals. And one kid is like, my brother hit an animal. Is he disturbed? And it like goes into this whole big like snowball.
Oh my god.
Anyway, tangent aside, education should involve learning how to cook and stuff.
Like, and I know several chefs have like gone on to say that honestly, like, even though like you can learn to cook at home and everything like that, like, I feel like part of the education should be done sometimes in schools.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, like there's only so many times like you can constantly go through just like the same history lessons over and over and over again, and honestly, that all that needs to be restructured with recent events.
No, yeah, I learned to cook at home mostly.
True.
Mostly because I had to, because single parent household, kids cook.
Right. So you've had more of an experience like with that than I did than I did growing up, because when I was growing up, it was always my lovely mom, bless her, love her, that did a lot of the cooking. But
Bless her.
ever since college and everything like that, and since I was in college, like during the middle of it, like I started doing more of like my own stuff, trying my own to learn.
Yeah.
And I made it part of my career, kind of, with like food and everything like that. I mean, sure, I work as a barista, but still, barista, you're still technically doing cooking and stuff.
Yeah.
It's still part of the food industry, and honestly, if you can translate that into cooking stuff, it's pretty great. Just the other day, like, I was thinking in my mind, I'm like, I wonder if I can actually use the coffee as a dry rub for ribs.
Yeah.
The
Oh man, it's inventiveness and stuff as well.
And the crazy thing is, you can. I've literally had friends that say, "Yeah, you can do that. I've done that all the time." I'm like, "Why have I not done this yet?"
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I mean, I think, well, when people don't know how to cook, I don't necessarily blame them, you know, because like someone has to teach you something for you to know it when you're younger, you know.
Right.
I mean, eventually it becomes your responsibility, but like I dated a guy once who didn't know how to cut a bell pepper.
Hmm.
I think I tried to teach him how to cut a bell pepper. Um, and what else? Like how to cut a tomato. It's like, yeah, just cut the tomato. And he's like, how do I do that? I'm like, what? What? You just cut it. Yeah.
You
And I was like, what happened?
you cut
Like,
okay. Basically, we're just asking you to cut it into slices. We're not asking you to dice it. Just cut it in half. Just go boom, 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 boom. Just through that.
mm-hmm.
Just leave some of the end bits on the sides. Just leave some of the end bits on the sides. We'll just cut those up a little bit. We'll just make it as like a little bit of a diced tomato stuff for a salsa. I don't know.
Yep. Yeah, but I don't know, man. But yeah, I think when people don't know how to cook or how to cook healthy food, rather than basically saying, "Oh my gosh, you're so ignorant and unhealthy and everything," that doesn't help anything. Like give them the tools and the opportunity. It's never too late to learn stuff.
Never. You know the saying, "It's never too late to teach an old dog new tricks." Basically pertains to pretty much everything in this world, especially in food.
Yep.
Just have the willingness to learn, and you will be A-okay.
Yeah, like I hear from people all the time. They say, "Oh no, you know, I can't learn how to draw because I can't." And I'm like, "Yeah, you can. Anyone can draw. You have to learn how to look first. But when you can see something, then you can draw it.
Right.
It's just a series of shapes. It just takes practice, and you're not too old to learn something, or too old to learn an instrument, or like too old to take a pottery class, or too old to learn a language. I mean, it might be harder with your memory and everything, but well, I don't know. Don't let the fact that, oh, I never learned that be the reason why you don't learn something.
Exactly. We are in a society that basically builds upon like getting out of stuff through excuses. Don't use excuses as crutches.
Mm-hmm. No.
Just stop.
Don't make excuses. Just do the thing.
Just stop it. Get help.
Don't make excuses. Get help. Do the thing.
But yeah, I mean, like, dang, food and cooking shows, like, it's a passion. It's a fascination that basically borderlines on passion.
Mm-hmm.
At times, because like you get the passion from the people that work on these shows, like through the chefs and everything like that. You can tell they care about like what they love to do, like what they cook and everything like that, and all these different things. Like, I think probably this is going to sound really weird, but I think this fascination for me started back when I was in high school. Like every single day after I got off of school, I would always throw on like the Food Network or the Travel Channel on TV while I was doing my homework, and I would be listening to like all these different people talk about food, like from Anthony Bourdain to all the different people on there to the host of like Iron Chef America. And I'm just listening to all this, and I'm like, this is good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that good food and having a meal with people, it's a communal experience as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like having dinner with your family, or having dinner with a group of friends, like it's cultural almost.
Food's always better with company.
Yep, that's true.
Food?
I always cook I always cook better food when I know that people are going to eat with me.
Right. Right, exactly. It's always better when you're cooking for people, that's not just yourself. That's usually like when the food is always a lot better.
Yeah.
Like it's true most times. Like
yeah, when it's just for me, I don't bother. I'm just like, well,
it's just like, okay, bare essentials. Yep. But then with everything else, like if you're cooking for people that you care about, I mean, there you go. Like, bam, boom, done.
Boom.
And it's also because of things like that. That's weirdly enough because like I've always like end up eating out so much at restaurants and everything like that. Whenever I get off of work and I don't have anything to cook with at home, if there's a restaurant that has that you can eat food at the bar, I will sit up at the bar mainly because like you can feel part of like a community and talk with people.
Yeah, true.
Because I'm just here by myself. Why am I going to be getting this one booth seat just so I can just sit there and be alone?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me. Plus it's always kind of fun with me when you're interacting with people you haven't even met and you're just gushing over the food.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, what you got over there? You got the smoked salmon? How is it? Oh my god, dude, it's probably some of the best salmon I've had all month. He's like, what do you got? Oh, I have a little bit of some barbecued quarter chicken. Goes really really good with the cornbread. I've had a real craving for cornbread lately.
Yeah, now that I have a grown-up job, I'm planning on eating a little bit better, eating more food. Because recently I've just been like, well, I've been living off of ramen. I can't really afford to eat out. I'll have like a hamburger from McDonald's on my way somewhere, But yeah, I'm making better money now in my current line of work. So
that's good. I'm gonna be honest. I can't do McDonald's. I can't.
No. I always, when I eat it, I regret it afterwards. I'm always kind of like, oh man, this is gonna be so tasty, and I buy it, and then I'm like, I feel horrible.
I feel like that's the thing with like a lot of like, most fast foods, like your basic chains like McDonald's and everything like that. Maybe there's a few exceptions to like these rules, but then you look to like other like higher quality chains like Culver or Shake Shack or anything like that takes extra steps into like their food preps and everything like that, and then you start to feel a little less guilty.
Yeah.
Oddly enough. But man. See, this is what happens when we talk about food. We can go for hours.
Food. Glorious food.
Just, it's just delicious. Delicious. Hopefully, if you're listening to this episode of the podcast, you are currently on your lunch break eating something right now and not going hungry with listening to us talking about food.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting here, sipping a delicious iced latte with guava inside. Delicious. But, oh man,
I am content.
I'm never content with food, but with everything we said, I'm pretty happy with everything that we talked about. Like, what else could there be? Like, you said it before, Hannah, and a lot of like big personalities in like the food and restaurant industry have said it before. Like, good food always brings together good people via a community, similar to how theater creates a community. Food has like a more universally like more universally casual, like a kind of sense of comfort and everything like that.
Yeah.
Like food.
Something about a decent meal.
it's a simple appeal, but my God, the impact that food and cooking can have, it's great. And I think that's pretty much like one of the big things. I remember, I'm gonna go back to Hot Ones again because I love that show. Alton Brown, who's a TV personality specifically for Food Network. He mentioned something along the lines of when it comes to food shows and cooking shows, like it's on the border of comfort. People watch it in order to have comfort. It's something comfortable to them. It's familiar. It's just relaxing in most ways.
Oh yeah.
And then you get to the competition side of things, and it's just so awe-inspiring and invigorating and sometimes heartbreaking, but you see all these different people like put their souls on a plate and you just see it shine, and it's just that's incredible. So yeah, for those of you that are learning to cook, take chances, play with your food. Well, play with your food during the cooking process. Don't play with your food when you're eating it, because you don't want any of that ending up on the floor.
That is considered to be desecration of a meal.
If it all hits the floor.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't ruin it. Don't drop the food on the floor. How dare you? But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for listening to us rave all about food.
I can't believe we were able to talk about it for that long. I have my doubts. I was like, what am I going to say?
Oh, I've gone on. I've gone on for longer conversations about food. Funnily enough, but yeah, like just the simple topic of food can spark up some of the most interesting conversations. That's how it's always been.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the universal truth, and it is kind of beautiful how that works out. Thank you guys so much again for listening to this episode of the General Geekery Podcast. If you guys like what you listen to, you can find us on all platforms where podcasts can be found. We're on Spotify, we're on Spreaker, we're on Stitcher. And for those of you that don't have any of those services, you guys can check us out on the YouTube channel Anime Rev Productions, which is my personal YouTube channel. And check us out on social media at General Geekery on Instagram and Gen Geek Podcast on Facebook and Twitter. Hannah, where can they check you out at?
Well, I can be found rolling dice with my party every Monday at 7:30 Central at twitch.tv/Loaded Dice Adventures. We are an affiliate now, so
yes,
that's awesome. If you have Amazon Prime, just go ahead and subscribe because you already have Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. Also, I can be found on Instagram at Pythian Legume.
Awesome. And you guys can
be found somewhere else too. I'm trying to remember where it was. Oh, at the Splanknicks podcast that I do with my mom, where we talk about literature, art, and tabletop gaming through the perspectives of different generations. My generation and her generation, because they're different.
Yes, two lovely ladies talking about all of the geeks. It's some good stuff.
Yes. And
you guys can check me out at on Instagram and Twitter at RyuzakiMK7. And you guys can also check me out on twitch.tv at RyuzakiMK7 as well. I play a large majority of games, most of them RPG based, but it's always a fun time. I sometimes do some on the spot voiceover acting, sometimes a little over the top, sometimes just chill out and everything like that, but it's always a fun time. And I'm also an affiliate too, so just like what Hannah said with Loaded Dice Adventures, if you have Amazon Prime, please go subscribe.
Yep.
It's some good stuff.
Yep.
So, I think that's gonna do it. Thank you guys so much again. This has been episode 35, I want to say.
I think it's 34, I think. No, wait.
No, I think it's 35.
33 was the pirate one.
No, 34 was the pirate.
34 was the pirate one. Yeah, it's 35. Yeah.
Yeah, it is 35. Okay.
We know what number we're on.
Thank you guys. This has been episode 35 of the General Geekery Podcast. For Hannah Kubiak, I'm Donald Kaczynski, and until next time, always be ready to learn, play with your food, but always, most importantly, always remember.
Tip your waiters.
Tip your waiters, too. But always remember to keep your geek on.
Always.
Clink, clink. Ding.
Ah.
There you go. Bye, everybody.